It's been a while, but 4 years ago I made a video on this channel where I went over the features that at the time that were promised to come to Minecraft in the future. With my obvious hiatus here on the channel, obviously this video is now outdated, so I thought why not revisit this video, look at what I covered, and see whether or not these features ended up coming to the game. With that being said, I'm Chris MC, or better known on the internet as Christendo, the biggest knob on YouTube, and I hope you enjoyed this video.
Our first example comes from the first ever biome vote from Minecon Earth 2018. This was a vote between the savanna with ostriches, baobabs, and termites, the desert with palm trees and meerkats, and the taiga with foxes, berry bushes, and campfires. The taiga was the winner for this vote, meaning the savanna and the desert were the first of ideas to be thrown into the pile of things to come in the future.
As you saw there, of the 3 options from the Minecon Earth 2018 biome vote, the desert, savanna, and taiga, the only one that has received an update at the time was the taiga, which brought with it the promised campfires, foxes, and berry bushes. To this day, this surprisingly remains true, as the other options, the desert with its palm trees and meerkats, and the savanna with its ostriches, termites, and baobab trees, still haven't received their respective features. However, the desert biome did get a minor update in the Spring to Life drop on March 25th, 2025, where it received new vegetation with dry grass, new flowers that can grow on cactuses, naturally spawning camels anywhere in deserts and not just villages, and ambient sounds from sand blocks.
While on the topic of Minecon Earth 2018, the update revealed, being the 1.14 Village and Pillage update, revamped the way villager trading worked forever. Now, each villager type has its own workbench that determines what role it plays in the village, and 2 of these workbenches were left unusable when 1.14 was released, being the smithing table and fletching table. The smithing table was later given a use, as in the 1.16 nether update. A new type of ore was introduced to the game, being netherite, which can be used to upgrade your diamond armor into netherite with the use of the smithing table. However, to this day, we do not have a use for the fletching table, making the use of this block for a future update, and the block itself just as decoration.
The fletching table and smithing table were both workbenches from the Village and Pillage update that didn't have a feature when they were released. The smithing table did get an update in the next major update with the addition of netherite, and got even more uses thanks to smithing templates coming to the Tales and Trails update on June 3rd, 2023, where you can use the workbench to customize your armor. However, to this day, the fletching table still doesn't have a use, and at this point, I'm just convinced it never will.
The 1.9 combat update divided the Minecraft Java PvP community forever, and because of this, Jens is working on a fix to the combat system to try to bring the community back together as a whole, and bring parity to the Bedrock Edition in terms of combat. Jens has released secret combat snapshots for Java players to try out, but no betas were ever released for the Bedrock Edition.
The last combat snapshot at the time was released on August 26, 2020, and unfortunately we haven't received any new ones since then. However, we have gotten new weapons added to the game since, with the Mace in the Tricky Trials update on June 13th, 2024, and the Spear in the Mounts of Mayhem drop on December 9th, 2025. There was also a feature in these snapshots where each weapon would have a different attack reach, and this feature was partially added in the Mounts of Mayhem drop, with the Spear having a longer attack reach than every other weapon in the game.
Back onto the topic of biome votes. We were given another one during Minecon Live 2019 with a vote between the Battlelands with vultures and a new type of cactus, the swamp with frogs, chest boats, and mangrove trees, and mountains with goats, snowier snow, and improved mountain generation. The mountains did end up winning and were added not in the nether update announced the same Minecon, but in the Caves and Cliffs update, which also completely changed the generation of the overworld as a whole. The swamp features were announced to be coming in the 1.19 wild update, with the features already listed along with mud bricks, and a new type of biome exclusively for the mangrove tree, being the mangrove swamp. Unfortunately, the Badlands has not been mentioned ever since the vote.
The mountain updates with its powder snow, ghosts, and new generation were added to the game on November 30th, 2021 in the Caves and Cliffs Part 2 update, and the new swamp features being chest boats, frogs, and mangrove trees were added in the Caves and Cliffs Part 3, wild update on June 7th, 2021. What's cool is that the mangrove trees weren't just added in the swamp, but instead as their own biome with mud as well as a new block type. Unfortunately, however, just like the Savannah Desert, the Badlands update, which included vultures, tumbleweed, and a new cactus, still hasn't been mentioned to this day. This biome did get a minor update though, as much like the desert, it was given the new cactus flower.
The year following the last vote, we were not given a biome vote, but instead a mob vote for Minecraft Live 2020. This mob vote was between the Moo Bloom, which would be a bee's best friend and may be helped with pollination, the Glow Squid, that floats around in water and glows, and the Ice Alder, who would spawn in the new mountains and summon magical chunks of ice to crush you, similar to how they do in Minecraft Dungeon. This was the mob vote that was infamous for being rigged in the Glow Squid's favor by a certain influencer, thus giving the Glow Squid the bragging rights of being added to the game before the others and sending the others into the pit of ideas to be coming later on.
With the Glow Squid winning this vote unfairly, might I add.
Hi.
Obviously, the Ice Alder with its ice attacks and Moo Bloom with the pollination features were thrown into the ideas library. Unfortunately, just like most of the biome vote winners, we also haven't heard anything about these mobs since the show.
With the most recent mob vote from Minecraft Live 2021, we had 3 unique mobs that would all be helpful for the survival player and act as pets of some sort as the mobs to be chosen from. Option 1, the Glare, would show players areas where it is dark enough for mobs to spawn and could put sources of light out inside of areas. Option 2, the Allay, gathers you the material type you give it, and will bring it back to where a note block is played. In option 3, the Copper Golem, which can be crafted by the player, and pushes copper buttons. The Alea ended up winning the mob vote, and was sent off into the world of Minecraft, while the other two sit there waiting for their opportunity to come to the game.
Unlike the last mob vote, we actually had a change in the outcome as of the glare, which tells players where an area is dark enough for mobs to spawn, and the Copper Golem, which will randomly push copper buttons. One of them was added to the game. The Copper Golem was added in the Copper Age drop on September 30th, 2025, where instead of randomly pushing copper buttons, they would instead store items inside copper chests into your normal chest to help with organization. The Copper Button was also added in the Copper Age drop, but the Copper Golem can interact with it like the original version. The glare still hasn't been added to the game to this day though.
That brings us to the most recent set of features that were announced to not be coming in the next update, but coming in the future. These are of course the bundles, goat horns, and archaeology.
The rest of the features of the video were promised for the Caves and Cliffs update, but were pushed back for one reason or another. The first feature I talked about was archaeology, which wasn't added at the time because the developers wanted to improve the system. Once again, this feature was added in the Tales and Trails update, where suspicious sand was added to Ocean Ruins, as well as there being a new structure added to the game with Trail Ruins. The goat horn was added in the Wild update and acted the same as it did before it was removed from Caves and Cliffs, so honestly I don't know why that was delayed. And the last feature was the bundles, which for the longest time was in the Java edition through commands, but wasn't implemented into Bedrock at the time. This feature was finally released in the Bundles of Bravery drop on October 22nd, 2024, marking it as the last and longest to be added from the Caves and Cliffs era features. And with that, that's every feature I covered in that video. However, since then there were 2 other mob votes, we might as well go over those before we finish things off. First off, we had the 2022 mob vote, with the 3 choices being the Rascal, who would spawn in caves and play hide and seek with the players, worrying them if they find him 3 times, the Tough Golem, a mob who'd act as a statue and would carry around items you give it as well as help display them, and the Sniffer, an ancient mob who would use its nose to dig up ancient plants. The Sniffer ended up winning and was added in the Tales and Trails update alongside the Pitcher Pot and Torchflower, and we are still yet to hear about the Rascal and Tough Golem making their appearance in the game. And the final ever mob vote was in 2023, with the candidates being the Crab, who'd spawn in mangrove swamps and their claws being used to increase the player's build reach, the Armadillo, which would drop scoots that could be used to craft wolf armor, and the Penguin, who'd speed up nearby boats players are riding in. The Armadillo won this final vote and was added to the game in the Armored Paws drop on April 23rd, 2024. Just like the previous mob vote losers, the Penguin and the Crab still unfortunately haven't made their way into the game today. And with that, I think that covers everything from the previous video as well as every feature since. If there's any features I'm missing, please let me know down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more Minecraft videos like this one, please let me know down in the comments as well as what you'd like me to cover, as I'm open to any suggestions. That's all for this one though. I'm Chris MC, or the biggest nub on YouTube, Crescendo, signing off, and as always, goodbye, Nub Nation.